Manish Mehta covers the Jets, NFL writer, the New York Daily News, and I don't know if we've got a quarterback controversy, but let's start one if we don't. Sam Darnold's not in camp. Manish, why is he not?
Well, let me just say that Sam Darnold has something in common with Baker Mayfield. He also has not thrown an interception in training camp.
Okay.
Well, the reason is a little bit more. It's a little simpler than I think people are trying to make it. It's about the contract language in his rookie deal, and as you know, with the rookie slotted wage scale, he's going to get his fully guaranteed $30 million. But his agent, Jimmy Sexton, and CAA are really haggling over a point just so they can, quote-unquote, get a win in this deal because they wanted offset language to be removed, and they lost all their leverage when Baker Mayfield signed his deal with the Browns with offset language. So at that point, the agency kind of pivots and says now the guarantee void structure that the Jets have is not fair, which is ironic because Jimmy Sexton also represents Avery Williamson, who was a free agent that the Jets signed this offseason, and Avery Williamson's contract has the exact same language as the Sam Darnold contract and every other contract that the Jets give out, and Jimmy Sexton didn't take any issue with that. But because he didn't win on the offset battle, for lack of a better phrase, he's trying to get a win here. It's not really in the best interest of his client, given that he's missed these first three practices. And, I think a lot of times ego gets involved here, and that's what we're seeing in this particular situation. I can tell you that Sam Darnold is a few minutes away from the facility kind of waiting for this to all play out, and he's not happy. I know the family is not happy as well. So I would anticipate that this gets resolved fairly soon.
Explain to us offset language.
Okay, it's a way for teams to protect themselves in case the player is cut before the 4-year deal is up. So in this case, if Sam Darnold were cut 3 years into his career and signed with the New England Patriots, and the Jets still owed Sam Darnold $5 million for of that $30 million that he's guaranteed, and the Patriots signed Darnold for $2 million. Without offset language, the player can double dip or get two full salaries from two teams. So in this case, $5 million remaining from the Jets plus the $2 million from the Patriots, he would make $7 million in that year. Whereas with offset provisions, the Jets are only on the hook for what they owed him, in this case $5 million, minus what the new team was going to pay him, $2 million. So they would be on the hook for $3 million. It doesn't really happen that often. It's actually happened a bunch with the Browns with their first-round picks and their quarterbacks. They haven't really worked out. So it was interesting that Baker Mayfield made it clear to his representatives that he knew all about the history, but he still did not want to miss a practice, and he was going to sign a deal that included offset provisions. The other issue, the issue that CAA wants everyone to believe is now the quote-unquote real issue, is about guarantee void structure. Now, the Jets are only one of 4 teams, I believe, in the league that tie their guarantee forfeiture language with not only suspensions but with fines. But it's not like if Darnold wore his socks too high, the Jets could void his $30 million. Clearly, that's not going to happen. These suspensions and fines are tied specifically to PED policy, to substance abuse policy, and to a policy or an act that could be deemed conduct detrimental to the team. So if Sam Darnold punched out Todd Bowles, then yes, the Jets could void his $30 million. That's not going to happen. That's such an egregious case, and that's why it's not that big of a deal unless the agent wants to make it a big deal because they want to get a win for themselves and for their agency. Meanwhile, the player suffers. Clearly, the team suffers because Darnold is going to be their face of the franchise, they hope, for the next decade. I just think that you have to keep in mind that the agent works for the player, and a lot of times in this industry, in this business, players defer to their agents, especially young players, naive players, rookie players. And that's why this isn't about Sam Darnold. CAA is also representing Roquan Smith, and I think CAA is in the right for holding out Roquan Smith because he is a linebacker, and the Bears are looking to void guaranteed money if he's suspended for an illegal hit. And with this new lowering helmet rule, that's much more applicable to a linebacker. So I understand the agency's position in that case, but that's not applicable for Sam Darnold. And if Sam Darnold flunks or fails a steroid test, then I think he should have some of his guaranteed money voided. So I don't have an issue with the team stance in that case. I just believe in this particular instance, The agent is not doing right by his client, and because of that, his client is suffering, the team is suffering, and ultimately, depending on how long this lasts, it could affect whether Sam Darnold will be their Week 1 starter, because they certainly want to give him every opportunity over the next 5 weeks to do that.
Yeah, that was what I was going to bring up, Manish, and that is the likelihood that Sam Darnold is the starting quarterback for the Jets. And you're saying that they're holding out hope or they're preparing for that. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but how would you describe that situation?
Well, they wanted to evaluate him in a vacuum. You've also got Teddy Bridgewater and Josh McCown, of course, and there's a lot of discussion about what a great quarterback competition this is going to be over the next month. It's not really a quarterback competition. It's really Sam Darnold versus Sam Darnold, and whether he can prove to Jeremy Bates and Todd Bowles that he is ready to be the Week 1 starter. Because when you line up Sam Darnold with Josh McCown, for example, a guy who's been in the league for 15 years, you wouldn't anticipate that a rookie would have a better grasp of this offense and the inner workings of, breaking down defenses as a guy like McCown would. McCown is always going to be better over the next month or so. So it's not about that. It's just about evaluating Darnold in a vacuum and wondering and finding out and asking yourself, is he ready to be an NFL starting quarterback September 10th when the Jets open up in Detroit on Monday night? And if the answer to that question is yes, then the Jets are going to start him. If he needs more seasoning, they're not going to rush his development because they do have a good fallback option in McCown and an intriguing option in Teddy Bridgewater. So that's kind of how they laid out their plan. They wanted the lion's share of reps in the preseason to go to Bridgewater and Darnold and have Josh McCown kind of waiting in the background, much like he did last year when the Jets gave Bryce Petty and Christian Hackenberg an opportunity. Unfortunately, neither one of those two guys grabbed the moment, and they turned to McCown to start the season. And they'll do that again if Bridgewater or Darnold isn't ready. But they want to foster an environment where they can properly and fairly evaluate him, and every day that he misses, every practice, every meeting he misses, puts him a little bit farther away from that reality.
It's never easy for the Jets, right?
No, it's not, and I think that the agent is kind of playing on that, and the Jets get a bad rap, and I've been critical of the Jets many times over the last decade. But in this particular case, I fully believe that they're right. They're not doing anything different for Sam Darnold than they are contractually for any other player, and they don't want to have a precedent where they're changing up something that they firmly believe in for him, because that means every future signing, whether it's a free agent or somebody that they draft, is going to hold out for a similar provision. And I don't think it's unreasonable to say, hey, you know what, if you do something that's conduct detrimental to the team, you're going to lose some of your guaranteed money. You also have to factor in, Dan, they're not going to be petty about this. If he gets fined for an illegal hit, if he's trying to block somebody, they're not going to create ill will and take money away from him because, again, they want him to be their future and they want him to be around for a very long time.
Manish, thank you. We appreciate your time as always.
Thanks, Dan.
That's Manish Mehta, Jets beat reporter, NFL writer for the New York Daily News.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.